The oak-paneled boardroom of Vance Corp hummed with attention, so thick it felt almost tangible. 11 pairs of eyes, some anxious, others resigned, were fixed squarely on Eleanor Vance. Her steely blue gaze swept across the quarterly projections displayed on the smart screen. A faint dip in the South American market glowed in soft red. "Explain this," she commanded, her voice sharp enough to cut through the hushed air. Her finger, adorned with a single platinum band, tapped the data point with quiet finality. Caleb, head of global marketing, shifted in his seat. "The proposed solution is a 10% reduction in regional marketing spend." "This is not a solution," Eleanor interrupted. "It's a bandage on a gaping wound." He swallowed. "We believe a more aggressive approach risks alienating." "Alienating who, Caleb? The competition? Our shareholders?" Leaning forward slightly, the crease in her tailored charcoal jacket barely noticeable, she delivered her verdict. "Vance Corp doesn't believe. Vance Corp acts. Effective immediately. We initiate a 25% reduction in the South American division's operational budget and reallocate all remaining marketing resources to emerging Asian markets. The projected Q3 growth justifies the investment." Her stare dared anyone to object. No one did. Good. Get it done. The meeting ended as abruptly as it began. Later, standing by the floor-to-ceiling glass in her penthouse office, Eleanor watched the city lights flicker to life. Sentimentality was a luxury she could not afford. Not in a company built on relentless expansion. Employees were assets. Policies were gears. Deviations were inefficiencies. And inefficiency was a cancer she would excise without hesitation. A soft knock broke her thoughts. Her assistant, Sarah, stepped inside, visibly flustered. "Miss Vance, I apologize, but my son has a high fever. The sitter just called, and I need to—" Eleanor turned. "Sarah, your shift ends at 7. It is currently 6:45. Is the Q4 report filed?" Sarah's shoulders sagged. "Almost." "Then finish it. Company policy dictates that all assigned tasks are completed before departure. Personal emergencies are not exceptions." Sarah nodded silently and retreated. The click of the door restored Eleanor's orderly world. Downstairs, beneath the sterile glow of fluorescent lights, Mark Jensen remained at his desk. 9 years at Vance Corp. 9 years of perfectly balanced ledgers and immaculate projections. Not a single missed deadline. Not a single sick day unaccounted for. His fingers slowed as his eyes drifted to the laminated drawing beneath his monitor. A stick figure with wild red hair, holding hands with a taller one. "Me and Daddy," Lily had said proudly when she gave it to him. Her name warmed something deep in his chest. Being a single father wasn't simply a role. It was his anchor. Every late night, every carefully audited report was for her. He powered down his computer and gathered his things. The thought of reading her favorite space book tonight renewing his tired resolve. The next morning, Mark smoothed the edges of a crisp white form he'd held all day. A request for 1 day off. Reason: to attend his daughter Lily Jensen's inaugural school play, The Whispering Woods. He'd even attached a work schedule showing how he completed tasks in advance to ensure no disruption. Swallowing hard, he placed a form gently on Eleanor's executive assistant's desk. "For Miss Vance, please. It's for the 23rd. Later that afternoon, Eleanor picked up the same request with clinical precision. A day off. Her internal response was swift. Unscheduled leave is disruptive. Personal events cannot supersede corporate responsibility. Her eyes flicked to the attached play program. Frivolous. Moments later, Mark was summoned. He stood in the assistant's antechamber as the form was pushed back toward him. "It has been denied," she stated flatly. "Any absence on the 23rd will be considered unexcused and result in disciplinary action." The air felt heavy in his lungs. 1 day, 1 single day for his daughter. That evening, Lily's crayon drawing lay on the kitchen counter beside Eleanor's curt denial email. "Operational necessity. Your presence is required." Mark closed his eyes. This wasn't about inconvenience. It was about a promise. He pictured Lily's eager face as she described her role, a singing tree. "No," he whispered finally. He would not let her down. Later, As Lily padded into the living room after a bath. "Daddy, are you coming to Parampalooza?" He pulled her into a tight embrace. "Yes, sweet pea. I wouldn't miss it for the world." Her delighted cheer sealed his decision. The next morning, Eleanor received confirmation through the intercom. "Miss Vance, Mark Jensen is not at his desk." Her jaw tightened. "Draft a termination letter. Effective immediately. Gross insubordination and neglect of duties." This wasn't vindictive. It was necessary. A company could not function if employees disregarded policy. Miles away, Lily's laughter filled a softly lit theater as Mark squeezed her hand. For that brief, magical moment, he was simply a father sharing joy with his child, unaware that his termination had already been issued. That evening, at a gala in the Grand Hyatt Ballroom, Eleanor moved through a sea of dignitaries in an emerald gown, searching for the man who mattered most, her father, Richard Vance. She finally spotted him in a quiet alcove, posture relaxed, smiling genuinely at someone across the table. As the man shifted, Eleanor froze. Mark Jensen. Her breath caught. He laughed easily while her father rested a familiar, approving hand on his arm. "V." She approached swiftly. "Mark," she said coldly, "I think you owe me an explanation." Richard turned in surprise. "Eleanor, darling. Mark, you haven't properly met my daughter." Her voice tightened. "Father, what is he doing here?" "I fired him yesterday." Richard's smile barely faded. "Fired? Oh, Eleanor. Mark has been an invaluable advisor to me for months now." The room seemed to tilt. "Advisor?" "He's been working with me on the Vance Legacy philanthropic project, handling its entire operational framework with remarkable integrity." Richard's tone shifted subtly. "You see, while you were busy upholding company policy, Mark was busy changing lives." He continued gently. He mentioned his daughter's school play and how he'd encountered a rather rigid interpretation of personal leave policy. Heat flushed Eleanor's cheeks. "It struck me that a man who prioritizes his child possesses a rare integrity. Vance Corp may not appreciate that strength, but I do." He turned to Mark. "So I offered him an advisory role, flexible enough to ensure family always comes first." Mark gave Eleanor a small, apologetic smile. Her champagne tasted like ash. Later, she found him alone by the dessert table. "Mark, I wanted to apologize." He met her gaze calmly. "It's all right. I understand you had to follow policy." A brief pause. "But it was the best thing that could have happened. My daughter had a wonderful day, and now I have a role that lets me be both a father and a professional." His forgiveness was gracious, but final, a closed chapter. Outside, the cool night air greeted her as she stepped away from the glittering ballroom. Her father's words echoed in her mind. Had she been so consumed by numbers that she'd forgotten people? For the first time in years, Eleanor Vance questioned what leadership truly meant, and whether success could exist without compassion.